The following is a Podcast One Minnesota production.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
If it's made in Minnesota, who's making it and how?
Yeah, you got that right.
It's the Makers of Minnesota, focusing on the products and services uniquely made in Minnesota, and conversations with the makers, entrepreneurs, and innovators in Minnesota about how they conceived of their products and how they brought them to market. With Stephanie Hansen, it's the Makers of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and you're listening to Makers of Minnesota, and we are on episode 25, and I am here with my friend Dave Ostland, and Dave is a serial entrepreneur. You may recognize him from some of his other businesses that I'll let him get into, but he has a new business venture that he's working on called Belly Up. You can find it online at Get Belly Up, but it's a dining restaurant concept. And it's very interesting that it's coming at this time because it's kind of in a genre of other like ideas that we're seeing formulate. Dave, welcome to the show.
Stephanie, thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. There are kind of a new proliferation of offer sampling type concepts that are coming in the restaurant and the beverage industry. Tell me a little bit about Belly Up and sort of how you came to the idea, or had you heard about it from somewhere else?
Well,
I know you're a serial entrepreneur.
yeah. So my mind is always going. It's always coming up with new ideas. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are great. Some of them are stupid. Some of them are, wonderful. And this one falls right into the crazy, wonderful, great one, I think. I have a business partner, Noah Miwa, who we started coming up with a couple other concepts back last March, April, and they were based off extensions of other products that I had. And so we were working.
And your original company is Direct Line Services,
Direct Line
right?
Services.
And tell me, because you're a serial entrepreneur, tell me about the other companies you've done that people listening to the podcast might be aware of.
Well, Direct Line Services was kind of the umbrella company for Twin Cities Food Finds, which was at the time, the number one or number two website in town for restaurant referral services. And that was in the 2000s, early 2010s era. A magazine, Twin Cities Food Finds, that also, was a 110 restaurant menu book.
Yeah,
that
it was huge.
Retail and gave the concierge at hotels. And then we also have, or I still have, the whole network of restaurant menu and map brochures that are in hotels all over the Twin Cities, and that's kind of the main core of all of it. And we've done Reserve Perks, which was a reservation system that also gave people an automatic 30% discount, which was very successful. But as all things successful, there were a lot of negatives to it, so it didn't last very long.
Yep.
And I bought into Dealstork.com, which at the very beginning it actually hit the same month that Groupon hit in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
And it was a daily deal site, and I bought into it because I kind of thought that, being local instead of being from D.C. like Living Social was, or from Chicago like Groupon was, could keep the money local. I understood restaurants more. I could give restaurants a lower price point.
Yep.
And so that worked really well for a couple of years, and just until it just didn't start working for people anymore. And then it kind of turned gross. I felt pretty. And then I sold it, and the people who bought it couldn't manage it, and we clawed it back. But by that time, it's only it's an email database. It's pretty much useless.
Yep.
And so I've gone on to, I've got, Dinelot.com. Did I mention that already?
No, Dinelot?
Dinelot.
Dinelot, okay.
Which is actually, it's kind of a private discount program for travelers in the Twin Cities. So when you go to certain hotels, they will hand you a card to go to the Dinelot.com / then there's private code. And it accesses a bunch of discounts that they can go to different restaurants and redeem.
Okay.
But the general public doesn't really know about Dinelot,
Sure.
even though there is a public form of Dinelot. We don't push that.
Okay.
It's all private. And so,
like I said, you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a water company at some point too?
Well, I had started a water company called Avivar, Crystal Artesian Water, and I was going to import water from Tequila, Mexico, from underneath Mantle, the volcano of Tequila. And so working with the guys down there, the actual company that had access to the aquifer
Yeah.
and was the Arete Tequila Company. And so I'd contracted with them to utilize their bottle shape and kind of their look, but instead of having it be called Sante Organique, which that's what they were calling it, I was going to import it as Avivar.
Okay.
And so that went really well until they decided that Avivar was a better name for their Spanish-sourced water than Sante Organique, which is a French name. And they said, you know what, we'll still give you the water, and you can have, North America. We're going to keep Mexico and South America, and we're going to do Avivar down here. I'm like, but that's kind of my trademark. And so, what am I going to do, sue Mexico?
Right, right.
Or somebody in Mexico? And it's just not, it doesn't work that way. So it really never, even though I ended up getting into 400 stores, a contract for 400 stores, I didn't get into them.
Yeah.
So it's another great idea, import water from Mexico, which was successful, and then all of a sudden wasn't.
Yep.
But this one's going to be.
Well, and I love that this is how your mind works, and you're continually thinking up ideas. I know you've made money on some of ideas, probably lost money on some of these ideas, but that is kind of what a serial entrepreneur is. Do you wish some days that you could just go to work and turn this off? No, never.
I couldn't even in the worst of times when I think of, oh my God, the minute I think of, I have to be at an 8:00 meeting on a Monday morning, or I have to be at a 4:30 meeting on a Friday, or I can't spend 7 weeks a year in Mexico, or over to Hong Kong every year. Nope, not even an option.
Okay, so that's a good perspective for you to have. That it's got good times and it's got bad times, but all in all, they're my times.
And that's it too. When you've got kind of a head like mine works, which I can't really explain. Heck, my wife of a dozen years doesn't even know how my head works yet. My kids kind of do, but they're 7, so they get it.
They're children.
They're children. Some of us never grow up. It's just how you kind of have to forge your own path and figure out what works for you, and that's what I do. And sometimes what works for me doesn't work, and sometimes it does. And
that's the life of an entrepreneur.
Right.
So
As you know.
Yeah, I do. And oh God, we talk about some of our failed ideas and we laugh now, but at the time, they all sounded like great ideas. Let's talk about Belly Up. There is a new kind of proliferation of sampling memberships, let's call them.
Yes.
Did you see this somewhere else and you were like, oh, I can do that better? Or how did you conceive of Belly Up?
Well, right. Nobody's idea is 100% completely unique.
No.
And so I was actually in New York last winter and ran across a cocktail membership called Hooch, which I think is like $10 a month, and you can get free drink at 30 restaurants a month. It's something crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of intrigued by them. So I called a couple of the restaurants and said, does this really work for you? And they said, yeah, it's getting off the ground and people are coming in. And,
sure.
And most people, and their website actually said that the average person that comes in and redeems a free drink spends $34. I said, is that true? They said, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's $34 or if it's more or less, but most people do spend more. So that was always in the kind of the back of my mind. And then, I don't, the funny thing is I don't really drink.
Yeah.
I used to a lot, and that's why I don't anymore. But, there's another craft program in town that does a very good job with craft beer, but it's focused really on the hipster market and more on bars.
Okay.
So I thought, there's a way to, since I've always been more focused on restaurants, there's got to be a way to bring in more higher level restaurants with a craft program. Does it include beer, or does it just include cocktails, or does it do both?
Yeah.
Which it ended up doing both. And my business partner, Noah Mia, was all part of this thing too, as we're talking about it and talking through it. And then, Noah says, we should bring in the art community into this thing. I'm like, well, how do you envision that working? And he talked to a couple of his artists, friends, because he's from MCAD and hangs out with a lot of these guys, and they love this concept of getting free craft drinks at a whole bunch of different restaurants in town. They said, well, we should make our own, private run of glasses. I'll paint one for you, and then I'll paint one for you. And so anybody that is part of Belly Up gets custom created glassware by pretty well-known artists in town.
Right.
And so if you get the beer belly, which is 25 beers at 25 different locations, mostly restaurants, a little higher end bars, a couple of tap rooms, you also get a 4-pack of pint glasses that are each have nothing to do with each other, but as a 4-pack, really are Minnesota food and drink related.
Yeah,
And
they're
those
cool.
get mailed to you. Yeah, they're really cool.
So do you have to bring your glass into the participating bar?
No. All you do, you go in with your Belly Up app that you've downloaded and you've purchased, and you show them that you get a free drink
On my phone.
on your phone. They click redeemed. You get your drink. Hopefully you stick around, have some food, have some more drinks, and then you leave. We mail the glassware to you now.
Okay.
So it's out of the restaurant's hands. And
So you ship me this package,
I ship
and then
you the
I
package.
download my app, and I can go into 25 restaurants and get a free beer, essentially. For how much is my beer membership?
Well, for the 25 beers at 25 restaurants, including the 4 glasses, it's $35 for 2017.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah. And then the 25 craft cocktails.
So there's Beer Belly.
There's Beer Belly, and then there's Booze Belly.
Okay.
And Booze Belly's 25 craft cocktails, and the restaurants that are partners in there are just really high-end restaurants, too, that are very food-focused. And they lost my train of thought here. They will give an opportunity, you might have 3 or 4 or 5 different drinks that they'll have available to you that are their signature drinks.
So they can curate and have a signature drink for you. So you go
and
in.
Some are doing that, yep.
Yep.
And some are doing their, we're offering our seasonal drinks.
Yep.
But at least you can go to 25 different places that have 25 drinks that nobody else has because it's really their signature cocktail.
And a craft cocktail's at least $10 usually.
Yeah, we kind of looked at it, and we're looking at $11 to $12 range on average. I mean, sometimes if you're going to go in someplace at happy hour, you might be able to get that cocktail at $8, and sometimes it's a $25 cocktail.
So doing math, it's like you get 25 cocktails at $10 a shot. It's about a $250 value plus the glasses. Yeah.
And what's the value of the glasses? There really is,
Priceless because they have the cool art on them.
That's exactly it.
So this is pretty cool. So did you...
But we also have, so you've got the Beer Belly, the 25 beers, you've got the Booze Belly, but we also have the Best Belly, which before we met with somebody that both you and I know, we called it the Big Belly, but she said, you know what, women don't really want something associated with a big belly, so I'd get rid of that. So it's now the Best Belly, and we've combined both of them. So you can get 25 beers, 25 cocktails, $85. And then you get the 4-pack of not only the tap or the pint glasses, but also 4-pack of highballs. So you get 8 artist-made glasses.
How cool, and what a great gift idea.
It's really, it really is. Especially, I look at it like this. I look at it, if you're in Woodbury and you have to go to Edina, maybe this is going to say, I don't know Edina. Where should we go? Where should we go eat? Well, you know what? In Beer Belly, there's Barrio, and there's also Layla that's over there. Let's go there. Let's get her drink, and let's have an appetizer or lunch.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm trying to do, and I eat out a ton, so I'm maybe not the best person to ask this question or to market this to, but I am trying to force myself to try new places all the time. Like, I really think we have just an amazing food town, and my husband is just the classic, like, let's just go to the same 3 places we always go to. I know I like them. I know what I'm going to order. And he'll be adventurous if it's something like this, or if it's a program, but if I'm just like, hey, let's go to, I don't know, Manello tonight, he'll be like, I don't know. I really don't know. Minneapolis.
Well, next time he does that, you got to just say, okay, then I'm calling Dave.
Well, and
we'll
I do actually eat out a lot with friends, kind of because he's limited in sort of what he wants to try. But he just said to me the other day, he was like, let's just, once a month pick a new place. I was like, who are you? Where did my husband go? Bring him back. His body has been abducted by an alien. But people are creatures of habit, but yet they do like to try new things if they're kind of forced a little bit.
Right.
So what I like about this is it's a gifty idea, but there's something to show for it. So it's not like you're giving someone a coupon book.
Right. No, it's
you can give them the glasses and explain the program, and that's pretty cool.
You go online, you purchase you can purchase a Beer Belly for one person. You can purchase a Booze Belly for another person. You can get a Best Belly for yourself, and they'll get it to them in their email. And then we ship them the glassware when that's done in February. The glassware won't be ready until February, March. But the
Okay.
program will
And I
actually
know you're
start up.
just getting launched. Like, didn't you launch just like a week ago?
Well, we actually the true story behind this one is we actually launched it right around the end of November, but we launched it with this really grandiose idea that people would come in each restaurant and walk out with their branded glassware from that restaurant.
Okay.
And so we were producing, thousands of glasses for Murray's and thousands of glasses for, Heyday or Constantine or Public. And all of a sudden we're making 200,000 glasses in
Right.
storage. And we were willing to do that. But what we really didn't take into consideration and what we found out very quickly is nobody wants 20 glasses, say 25 glasses sitting in the cupboard.
No.
They might want a couple. So people are saying, do we have to take them all? Do we pick and choose which ones do we want? And we realized there was going to be so much waste. And a lot of when we came back to the restaurants and said, we're not doing this glassware. Plus, we already had the artist rendition glassware. There was going to be a special on top of that. But we just said, forget it. Let's just get rid of this glassware. Program's great the way it is. We actually lowered the price from where it was, so that's why it's only $35 and $55 and $85 now. And so we streamlined it.
So you have been around the block. You've done a lot of these entrepreneurial type businesses. Do you have when you're going to do a company I'm only putting in $10,000 or do you decide what the number is that you're going to invest, or do you just try to bootstrap it as you go?
Man, yeah, I don't budget well like that. It just I look at it as do we need this expense? Do we need to do this? So if we do, we spend the money on it.
How much, when you do a website for a business, generally how much would you budget for that if you're an entrepreneur?
$5,000 to $10,000.
Okay. And that's a pretty simple website, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean,
with the shopping cart or whatever.
Yeah, this stuff isn't rocket science. It's
5 to 10.
5 to 10. And
then to launch a business, a food business, or what would you say, from a marketing perspective? Is that where most of the money goes?
It's insane the amount of money that has to go into that, because especially with something like this, you've got your Google AdWords, you've got your Facebook boost, you've got your referral commissions that you give to people who are giving discounts for 10%. Anybody that listens to this is going to be able to go to our website, type in Makers, and get 10% off.
Oh, that's nice. I did not know that.
Oh, surprise.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, people. Don't say that listening to the podcast never got you anything.
You get 10% off, so it's $3.50 off a beer belly, $5.50 off a booze belly, and $8.50 off the best belly.
All right. So the marketing is the biggest expense.
It's the most time consuming. It's the most you can get everything else completely right, and then the marketing comes, and that's the headache.
Do you do it yourself or do you hire someone?
Both.
And when you hire someone, do you what are you looking for? How do you evaluate if they're going to be the person that's the right person? Because I'm assuming you're not going to an agency.
Well, that's where Noah Miwa, my business partner in this one, comes in. He's a graphic designer. He's a food person by nature. He's very connected to a lot of the restaurants, and just he's kind of an influencer. So the influencer marketing is big in a program like this, and so we're just kind of rolling that aspect of it out. Then you parlay that with some paid advertising.
When you launch something like this, do you have okay, we're not going to make money year one, but we'd like to make money year two? Do you have it plotted out on paper? Or
oh no, I've got bottom right hand corner. There's that P&L. We won't even go forward with this. We can't unless we sell 2,000 of them.
Okay,
we have to sell 2,000. But because of what we've talked to the restaurant, we can max out at 4,500. And which isn't very many. You're looking at a city of a metro area, 3.5 million people.
Right.
4,500 beer bellies and 4,500 booze bellies. That's not very many. So we feel that we'll sell these out pretty quickly.
And can you then extrapolate it into a wine program, into possibly a meal program? I mean, some of these things, maybe even a cigar program.
Those are whiteboarded.
Okay, coffee shops. I mean, there's a million whole donut places. I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
There's a million
those are
places
all-
you could
but
go with this.
Once we have to get the proof of concept for this one.
Yeah,
down
and that's the hardest
trust
thing.
down, that now that's the hard. Even though it's only $35, people trust that Dave and Noah are going to be able to pull this off. And when they actually walk into, Northbound or the Liffey or Burrow or Glicks or the local Oxcart, Nighthawks,
That
Kelts,
you're going to get
Rudolphs,
your drink
Pat's
and
Tap,
your.
Are you going to get your drink? Are you going to get your beer? And once they do, and once they have a good time, they realize, wow, that's when.
And that it was fairly easy.
And it is. It's stupid simple.
Because I would imagine, do you have to, so you go to the bartender. What if the bartender doesn't know what you're showing on your phone? They go get a manager.
They know.
They figure it out. Okay.
With the restaurants, it's not easy getting restaurants on board with something like that. Hey,
I can imagine.
4,500 free cocktails away that are valued $12. Well, what if nobody spends any money? Well, these guys drink. They're not going to buy a drinking program for $55 if they don't want to have another drink.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And they're also, people who appreciate craft cocktails and craft beers probably have a more educated or worldly palate than other people. They understand the nuances of flavors. And they probably I'm betting that they like food a little bit more.
Yep.
And so from the restaurant standpoint, yeah, there is that, I'm not going to deny it, people who want to buy our product. We're hoping that you do buy an appetizer. Why wouldn't you? You have to anyway.
Yeah.
But at least you're experiencing and exploring a brand new venue that you've never been to before.
Right.
And new drinks that you haven't had before, and maybe some food that you've never had before. Instead of sticking to those 2 or 3 restaurants that bars that you were alluded to before.
That aren't even that good, by the way, but just the neighborhood watering holes,
Right.
that you're kind of used to or whatever.
Right.
So when you have a business like this and you're like, okay, I can sell 4,500 of these and then I got to move on to the next thing. Do you have figured in there an income for you and an income for Noah? Do you take money out and pay yourself?
No.
When would you pay yourself as an entrepreneur? Is it after you've sold all 4,500 and gotten the proof of concept?
Once everybody is paid off, after every single bill is paid off, then I'll reimburse me what my expenses are.
Yep.
And then if there's anything left, then I pay myself.
Okay. That's hard.
It's really hard,
So,
especially when that's all you've done for the last 15 years,
So if you are doing this proof of concept, and again, some businesses work and some don't. I think last year we spent $150,000 on a business that was an absolutely wonderful idea. We were working really hard on it. Everybody loved it. We never got proof of concept. We tried a million different things. It was too soon and the concept didn't work. And so, we'd spend all this money on something that basically amounted to a failure. Yeah. And it's hard. Have you had some failures?
Of course.
And do you just lament, oh God, I wish that was such a great idea and it didn't happen? How does that go at home when you're sitting there with your wife? And
so I had this great idea. I'm over in Shenzhen, China.
Okay.
10 years ago, and it was over Chinese New Year, so it was the end of January. But I had just been to the our big art sale that goes on in the hotels, what the Starving Artist sale.
Yeah.
At the beginning of January. And I looked at all this art and everything. So I went over in Shenzhen and I end up running into this community, this city that all they do is art.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at this art and I'm like, oh, wait, this is the same stuff that the Starving Artists do. They're getting their art from Shenzhen.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to do this. And so I get my cousin on board, bring him back over there. I get my wife's brother-in-law on board. We go over and we pick out all this artwork, and we buy a container of art, and it's 5,000 paintings of 5 by 8s and 12 by 16s.
Yeah.
Just a container. A container's a lot of art.
Yeah.
And set up a time to have our big sale, and we're going to piggyback it and kind of steal off the Starving Artists and stuff in hotels across the street from where they are.
Like a smart marketer, sure.
Right. And then there's a big snowstorm.
Oh. Oh.
And now we're sitting here on...
Did you just wake up and your heart just sank?
Well, yeah, it wasn't fun. It sucked.
I don't have that kind of mental fortitude to keep going.
Right. But you know what? We tried it again, and it was 2008. and the housing market completely crashed. And you know what? I don't care if a piece of art is. That's the other thing. These guys are selling art for $40, $60.
Right.
They're doing 10-to-1 return. You know, I could do 5-to-1 and make a heck of a living doing it. Selling a couple of sales a year. I mean, come on. And it just the housing market. People weren't spending $30 on art. You know, they were buying potatoes and rice.
Yeah,
that was the deal. And so after, I swear to God, after like 3 or 4 years, because we put it aside, I'm like, you know, I got to go back into the whole restaurant thing and deal with that because that's where my forte is. I looked at all this art and I called up I donated all of it.
Really?
Yeah. But there's that was called Art House Paintings, and Noah and I actually have started up a new art house, which is what we were working on before this idea came. So when we were really going down the path of that, and then this idea became stronger in our hearts.
I love the idea of, is it the Institute of Arts that has the miniature sale? Like, or no, it was Ralph Burnett. And
this art is not on that level.
Okay, but do you know what I'm talking about? It was such a great idea. They had, like, 100 people would donate things, and you bought a $10 ticket, and I think everybody walked away with a piece of art, and it could literally be like something on a matchbook or.
Oh yeah.
And some of the artists were just kids, and some of them were renowned artists, and you didn't know what you were getting. You just, bought your $10 ticket or whatever. It was just a really cool program. The idea of art is just so neat because you could get a piece of art that's so significant to you and is worth nothing, but it means so much to you.
Right.
Or like if you have a big piece of art in your house that is significant, but you hate it, who cares?
Right.
Art is just such a personal, weird thing.
And it really is. I mean, and so to digress and go back to the art that our artists are doing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the artists'
These
names.
are the artists that are on the pint glasses and the cocktail.
Right. So, I don't know if people have heard these guys, but I mean, almost everybody's heard of Scott Seekins.
Yes.
All right? So
he did some of the art?
Yeah. So
Scott,
I mean, it's he and Brittany drinking out of a low ball.
Cute.
It's his kind of what Scott does. And so, you'll get a high ball with Scott Seekins art, with Liz Russ, Mike Davis, and McCarrion.
Cool.
That's how you pronounce your last name. And then for the pints, there's Emery Allen, Minty Matakalam, Taylor Baldlery, Miyabi Goddard. And this art is, I mean, they all have their only thing we told them was try to keep it Minnesota.
Yep.
So, what does Britney Spears have to do with Minnesota? Nothing, but Scott Seekins' face is on there. So
yep.
There's Minnesota for you. Try to get food involved, because this should be more than a drink program.
Yep.
And make it Minnesota themed. And so we've got there's one with a woolly mammoth, with pizzas hanging off him.
That's cool.
The guy,
yeah.
Right. There's another one with like a waterfall, Minnehaha Falls. The waterfall is falling down into a glass.
That's cool.
Filling up the beer glass, and it just says "Say when," and so. They'll get these glasses, and they're going to be like, well, they don't make any sense together. Well, they don't, and that's the point.
Yeah.
And so we didn't tell the artists what they could and couldn't do.
And will you have like a new edition every year?
Yes.
So like, do you have a limited amount of time that you can get all your beer bellies redeemed?
The 2017, you can start redeeming them February 1st, and then it's over December 31st. So you'll have 11 months.
Okay.
To redeem these.
And then it'll be a new program, that's kind of cool.
Year. Yeah.
Well, I really hope this is successful. When you told me about it earlier, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
It is cool. It's a lot of fun.
The way that the glassware thing has evolved too is real smart. I like that because when we originally talked, I in my head was thinking, why do I want 20 pint glasses? Right. So I like this idea that there's an artist angle to it.
Yep.
And that the glasses will be like limited editions based on the year.
Yep, and they will. And the glassware, each piece of glass too, also has the list of the restaurants on the back of it and the year. So it's like a collector's item too.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
All right, so people can sign up at Go Belly Up, which is your website.
GetBellyUp.com.
Sorry, Get Belly Up. I want to make sure I get that right.
If you type in the code MAKERS, MAKERS, you get 10% off. Which isn't huge, but
I appreciate it. You're the first person on all. I mean, you're the 25th podcast I've done that has ever offered a discount to anybody. So that's cool.
Excellent.
And let's just go through. So we have the Beer Belly is $35.
$35, 25 restaurants, 4 glasses.
Okay.
Plus, we'll be having events and things like that during the year.
Sure.
And specials. Yep. The Booze Belly is 25 cocktails at 25 different locations, and I can name some of those too. And then there's the Best Belly that combines the two. So it's really, you get 50 drinks for $85.
So like my husband, does it have to be the same person? It's like my husband's a beer drinker and I'd be more likely to drink the craft cocktails. So,
well, you can only redeem it once. I mean, once it's redeemed, it goes dark. So
Yep.
if you trust somebody, you want to give them your code to get into your
Yep.
belly. You can
or
do
if we're
that
going to dine together.
if you want to dine together. Oh yeah, so you would buy 2 if you want to dine together.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there's only a couple of restaurants that cross over.
Okay.
So, like Black Sheep.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Black Sheep St. Paul is doing the beer program. Black Sheep Minneapolis is doing the cocktail program.
I just love the Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Best
yeah.
pizza ever.
And so, think about even in the cocktail program, some of the places we have Eastside, Layla, Barrio, Handsome Hog, Black Sheep, Ice House.
All good cocktail places for
Red
sure.
Steak, Third Bird, Heyday, Constantine.
Yep.
These
You
are
can get a Jesse Held cocktail at
Jesse-
Constantine or a Mike DeCamp cocktail if you go on the right night.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think this is really cool. Thanks for coming on and telling us about it. What's next for you personally? Are you thinking, this is obviously a big endeavor, but are you thinking okay, and then I'm going to do this or that? Or are you hoping that you can roll this out in a way that makes sense for your continued mastery of the food empire in the Twin Cities?
When this comes to fruition, when this actually hits the market, there will be spin-offs
Cool.
from this. And there's a couple other ideas that are kind of along the realm of progressive food tours.
Yeah.
I own food tours in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Oh,
you
that's
can go
neat.
down to, can I say the name of it?
Sure. Yeah.
Puerto Vallarta chefspass.com and find 4 different food tours. And there's progressive restaurant tours and there's street food tours.
Cool.
And so I want to bring that in on this thing too. And so does Noah. I don't want to forget about Noah.
Yeah.
And so that would be something we bring on along with this. And then we've got some other ideas too.
Well, we'll probably touch base with you on Weekly Dish throughout the year to see how things are going. Thanks for being on the program,
Thanks for having me.
and good luck in the new year. I can't wait to see your glasses and how your program unfolds.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, Stephanie.
All right. Thanks.